They are Philly. They are Philly. They are Philly.
Good afternoon, friends that are visiting Madison. My name is Allie Gator.
I'm Loose Change.
And we are so excited to bring you this next bout, the Philly Roller Derby Liberty Bells versus the Minnesota RollerGirls, Minnesota All-Stars. We will run down some rosters in a little bit, but we are about to get the action started on the track. In the black with aqua and army accents, that is Minnesota. Number 101, switch please, is the first jammer for Minnesota. Lining up against number 152.
In the white with blue accents, that is the Philadelphia Roller Derby Liberty Bells. And that is Herman Munster jamming for the Liberty Bells.
And right off the bat, we do have a penalty going to the pivot of the Minnesota. And lead jam is assigned to Herman Munster of the Liberty Bells. Minnesota trying to get up front to defensively wall up, but they do get it called off. Zip, zip for the first jam. Next lineup on the track, we have number 138. That is Buenos Dias for the Liberty Bells, going up against number 1400 Shock Therapy for Minnesota. And lead jammer goes to Buenos Dias. Buenos Dias transferred to Philly a couple years ago. They played with Brandywine before that. And Buenos working up against that front, and a whistle and a penalty of a forearm will be awarded to the one and only Gertrude Stein for Minnesota. So at the end of that jam, Philly picked up 5 points first on the board. Philly 5, Minnesota 0.
And with that whistle, we are off jam number 3. Jamming for those Philadelphia Liberty Bells, that is number 902, Rousey.
And she is going up against number 98, Bipolar Bear. But Rousey picks up lead jam status first. And a forearm is going to send off a blocker from Philly to the Baron Bottle penalty box. Bipolar Bear sneaking in, picking up 1, 2, 3 points. Stealing it.
Minnesota on the board with those. Oh.
Well,
looks like 2, 3. No, there we go, 3.
1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Oh, there was a ghost point in there.
Hey.
Sneaky. So remember, in roller derby, you pass the people on the track, you get the points for the people that are in the penalty box. They're called ghost points. Dun, 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 dun. Number 15, Persephone on the track for Philly. Whistles being blown, forearm being called. Lead jammer going to Raichu of Minnesota.
She is tiny, but she is fierce.
I think she might be electric, too.
We try not to talk about that too much. It's her special superpower.
You don't want to see her in her evolved form.
jamming for the Minnesota All-Stars. That is number 101. Switch, please.
Switch, please, with a recycle by number 9. That is courtesy of Deb. Seriously? Lead jammer is the 152 Herman Monster for Philly. And Monster with the juke up that inside line. 5 points going up to Philly. Direction of gameplay, sending off one of the Philadelphia blockers. That is going to be number 34. Jail bars. And switch, please, getting deposited to the turn of Apex 4 there. Animal trying to offer some offensive assistance there. And another bump at the end as Herman Monster completes another scoring pass.
That looks like it is 10 points on the board for the Liberty Bells. Meanwhile, holding Minnesota scoreless at 4.
We're going to run down the rosters real quick for the both teams on the track here. In the white with blue accents, the Liberty Bells. We have number 00, Meryl Stripper. Number 127, Nikki Cash. Number 138, Buenos Dias. Number 15, Persephone. Number 152, Herman Monster. Number 21, Tramagachi. Number 247, Devoid of Mercy. Number 2873, She-Bear. Number 34 is Jail Bars. 45 is Built to Spill. Number 66, Little Loca. Number 85, Teflon Donna. 9, Deb. Seriously? And number 902, Rousey. 99, Russian Bayou.
As soon as you said number 138, Buenos Dias, she instantly became lead jammer. It's like she was listening to you. It was beautiful.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And you are right. That is Buenos Dias, who is the lead jammer for the Liberty Bells.
And Philly doing a great job picking up 10 points. Number 98 with the star by Polar Bear. Lead jammer on the track for Philly. That is going to be number 902, Rousey.
Rousey through, picks up 4 points, but pays attention to what her bench says and calls it off. Now we have skating for the Minnesota RollerGirls, the Minnesota All-Stars in that lovely black with aqua and army accents. Number 101, Switch Please. 1128, Poisonberry Pie. 1400, Shock Therapy. Number 26, Raichu. Number 31, Homoerotic. 32, Manila Ice. Number 422, Polly Punchkin. 5, Minnesota Blocker, number 5. 501, Animal. 719, Bully Jean. 727, the only one and only Gertrude Stein. Number 82, Brutal Brit. 84, Revolt. And 98, Bipolar Bear.
And back to the action on the track. A 5-point pass put up by the Phillies jammer. Persephone working back and forth. Raichu still working on her way through the pack. Phillies defense giving her a rough time, to say the least. track cut picked up by Raichu, the jammer for Minnesota. So this is a power jam in favor of the Liberty Bells. And another 5-point pass put up as Persephone comes back around. Beautiful work on the apex there. Not quite a jump. And Raichu with a run around the outside and some fun faces with Tef. And both jammers getting recycled back around. Turns 3 and 4 back to the straightaway as both defenses reset.
Minnesota fans making their presence known in the stands as number 31, Homo Erratic, is jamming for those Minnesota All-Stars.
And lead jammer goes to switch, please. And both packs losing blockers to the bear and bottle penalty box. Switch slicing into that pack, picking up 3 points, calling off the jam.
Now we have Switch Please jamming for those Minnesota All-Stars.
Those 3 points in the previous jam go to Homo Erratic, actually. Sorry about that. But switch please on the track. 152, Herman Monster for the Liberty Bells in white. Whistles being blown. Lead jam going to switch please and a power jam to boot as the Liberty Bells jammer heads to the bear and bottle penalty box.
Right now, Philly has a 43-point lead. So with this 30-second penalty, this is definitely something that the Minnesota All-Stars want to be able to capitalize on. And they've picked up 5 already.
Switch following their offense up as Philly tries to lock it down around the corner, doing a great job. But stop block getting called as they lose players to the bear and bottle penalty box.
Both jammers coming up against tripods and just not being able to find that hole so they can get through.
And switch here and calls. Shock therapy on the line as the jammer for Minnesota, and that is Rousey as the jammer for Philly.
Lead jammer go to Minnesota shock therapy.
Shock doing the patient jammer thing, watching and following their blockers, able to pick up a 1 point.
That is still a 1 point to Philly's 0.
True. Back on the track, Bipolar Bear jamming for Minnesota. Big impact there. But Persephone, jammer for for Philly, getting dropped to the inside and picking up a track cut, courtesy of Animal. So this is a power jam situation again for Minnesota, taking advantage of the turn of momentum, hopefully in their favor. Big hit on the inside there. Shock therapy getting recycled back by Teflon Donna and the pivot number 21. That is Tramagachi. And they are assisted by Little Loca. Nice work from the offense from Philly, allowing their jammer to sneak on through there for 4 points. Forearm picked up by Lil Loca, sending her to the penalty box as Persephone puts up a 5-point pass. And back on the track, Herman Monster for Philly, number 26. That's Raichu. Ooh, it's like stereo.
Almost like that happened on purpose.
Whistles, 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 lead jammer. That is Raichu. And it looks like a track cut is calling off the Philly jammer to the Bear and Bottle penalty box. So this is going to be a power jam in favor of Minnesota.
Last time Minnesota had a power jam and was lead jammer, they were able to pick up 10 points. This was only 5.
Oh, it was 10.
Oh, see, I spoke too soon. 10 minutes remain in this first half, and we've got Philly sitting at 62 to Minnesota All-Stars 31.
Minnesota starting with a power jam. They field homoerotic, a great choice as they just got out, and they are the lead jammer for this jam. You might have seen as well, Philly had a whole pack fielded, and then that lovely official timeout to check some numbers. They switched them out. Switch, switch. I believe we have some of the Aquaman Army in the house.
They are indeed here, and they are cheering on your lead jammer. Switch, please, for the Minnesota All-Stars.
Ooh, some beautiful footwork by Switch, please.
That was a pretty inside line for 4 points.
Back on the track, we have 902 Rousey for jammer for Philly, but lead jammer goes to Minnesota's jammer, number 1400.
Shock therapy.
And Minnesota loses their blocker. Polly Punchkin to the Baron Bottle penalty box. Row. 3 points, though, picked up by Philly, ending that drought. Score 65 Philly, Minnesota 39. Persephone on the line in the white with blue accents for the Liberty Bells. Number 26, Raichu in the black with the Aquan Army accents for Minnesota. Track cut calling off Philly's jammer, making this a power jam again for Raichu. Lucky, lucky duckies.
Raichu is recycled all the way back to that jammer line. Has to work her way through the pack a whole time again.
And there's that direction of gameplay that was probably going to get called on our favorite, that Minnesota blocker number 5.
With Persephone standing in that Baron Bottle penalty box, she's been released. Why did I even say anything? Because of course it would happen.
And Persephone out on her initial.
Meanwhile, Raichu being stymied by Tamagotchi. Hit to the inside, hit to the outside, hit to the inside one more time.
Blocker number 5 back in the mix, trying to offer some offensive help as Persephone makes it around for another pass. Pretty pirouettes on Apex 1. Whistle's being blown, but no one is lead jammer. No one gets it. You just get a 2-minute jam.
And everyone tired. With that whistle, we are back to it. Number 31, homoerotic jamming for those Minnesota All-Stars.
And number 152, Herman Monster is your lead jammer for the Liberty Bells. Monster being put out to the outside of the turn. Buenos Dias on the line for the Liberty Bells. Switch, please, for Minnesota.
3.5 minutes remain in this first half.
Pile up on the beginning there of turn 1. But Switch getting recycled back. Be a safe skater. And a spinny skater. That'll get you lead jam status, but unfortunately recycled back into the pack. And Switch aware jammer sees the other one, calls it off, 0-0.
And we want to say that WORT 98.9 FM Community Radio is hosting its 21st annual block party this Sunday, the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the 200 block of MLK Boulevard off Capitol Square. Event is free and includes live music, food, craft vendors, no crap, on-tap beer, prize raffle, and kids crafting area. Check them out at wartfm.org or 608-256-2001.
Little hop on the inside of that Apex. I think that would be a Chaos Crew Apex jump, getting Rousey lead jam status. Unfortunately, we got a whistle. That goes to the pivot for the Liberty Bells. And a 5-point pass for Rousey. Wah, wah, wah. Unfortunately, a track cut being called on Rousey on that Apex attempt. That's going to send her to the Baron Bottle penalty box. Now a power jam in favor of Minnesota. And 5 points up on the board for them so far. Philly showing some really great defensive work in this bout so far.
Gertrude Stein assisting Shock Therapy with a little bit of offense, trying to get her through that wall of Liberty Bell blockers.
You may recognize Miss Gertrude Stein from Team Poland, where she skated a lot.
She did.
Whistles being blown, a high block. Looks like that is being called back on the jammer of Philly. So Philly's jammer serving their penalty, re-entering, and immediately picking up a high block, sending them back to the penalty box, extending this power jam for Minnesota.
Minnesota picks up another 5. Timeout called. One more jam. Testing. I will talk to you more. Tweaking. Add 5 loose chains. I'm going to do something to see if it works.
So we are back on the track. We are starting in a power jam. Switch, please, on the line and on the track for Minnesota, as there is now a break from the penalty blocks. Herman Monster, Rousey release. Sorry about that. Lead jammer, though, going to switch, please. Whistles being blown all over. And it looks like Philly is going to lose a blocker to the penalty box. So that is going
to end it for this first half.
So we are at Philly 88, Minnesota 58. 4 more points put up there before the end. A little update, that official challenge was brought to you by Minnesota. They were asking for that high block on the Phillies jammer to be upgraded to an expulsion. That was denied by the referees, and they lost their official review for the first half. Come back in about 14 minutes, and we'll see you for the second half. is it?
Boop. Alrighty, friends. We're going to go ahead and say a big old thank you to our officials that we have on staff here. Without them, we would not be able to have this fun and exciting roller derby tournament occur. So, thanks, officials.
Thanks, friends. We're going to say your names now. We have on the crew for this game, Apron, Pat Sweeney, Haley Hydra, Alicia Tees, Tawanda, Galvatron, Rob Anybody, Morticia, Colin Fairley, Jezebel O'Kitty, Hellcaster,
And Duke Skellington, Dr. Math, Manosaur, Autocorrect, Bjorn Taco,
to kill.
to kill. I'm hungry. It's dinner time.
Bjorn Taco is
I got
his other
tacos on the
name.
brain. Bjorn to kill. Roll call and Sergeant Major.
And that's going to bring us right up into the second half here. Philly starting with 88, Minnesota 58.
Philly with 2 in the box.
As if you don't finish, you carry it to the second half. Switch, please, on the line for Minnesota. That is Herman Monster for Philly in the white. Hope you are all enjoying the feed at home. If you're not here at Utter Chaos, switch, please, up first. Dancing around that pivot up front. Lead jammer for Minnesota. Switch, please, had quite a few good jams in the first half. Through for a 5-point pass as the Phillies pivot heads to the Bear and Bottle penalty box. Swapping out blockers there.
Switch finds that outside line for her second scoring pass through, for another 5. That is the initial pass for number 152, Herman Munster.
And Switch picking up 3 more points, total at a 13-point jam to start out the second half.
So this is an additional test now to see if people can hear us at home. If you can hear us at home, hello, friends.
Hello, friends. And so the second half, Minnesota really opening up with a really awesome first jam here.
13.
13 points closing. We only have a 17-point differential now. It's a very different looking game with just that one jam under our belts. And back to the track, we have 1-4-0 shock therapy. Picking up lead jam status for Minnesota. Buenos Dias still working around Minnesota's defense. 1 to beat, that is Gertrude Stein. And Bipolar Bear picking up 4 points on that last pass, listening to her bench like a good jammer. I don't mean that in any sort of weird, demeaning way.
She's following what her coaches tell her
Being a
to.
good sports player.
Exactly. Exactly. And with that, it's 13-point difference now.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point in time, there was a 40-point difference during the first half, and now, it's amazing what can be said in a locker room over halftime to reinvigorate people and get them, refocused. Lead jammer, Raichu.
And that is number 902, Rousey, in the attack being stymied by the Minnesota defense. Anchored there by Minnesota blocker number 5. Just rotating around and depositing her to the outside of the straightaway. So Raichu comes around and unfortunately picks up a track cut, sending her to the Bear and Bottle penalty box. That is going to be now a power jam in favor of Philly. That big hit. That is courtesy of number 1128, Poison Berry Pie of Minnesota.
Forearm penalty being called on Trudy.
And that is the initial pass for Herman Monster Jammer for Philly as they get handed the cover of their knee pad as they come back around. Thanks, officials. And there she threw for 5 points for Philly. Oh, good try on that apex jump. The Chaos Crew is proud of you, even if you didn't complete it. And a penalty is going to be assessed to Poison Berry Pie for something related to that we could not see. Number 31, that is Homo Erratic on the line for Minnesota. For Philly, that is Persephone. Persephone had that big 19-point jam in the first half. And looks like lead jammer going to Persephone. Now in the second. Oh. Oh, and unfortunately just got a
illegal procedure
for not having a wrist guard on starting the second half. A weird one. You don't always see that one.
I can't remember the last time I saw that.
So while their penalty may have elapsed, I don't think they're going to be allowed to go back onto the track until they have a wrist guard on.
I believe I saw some scurrying occurring.
And it looks like someone threw them a wrist guard. They're now out. And a
Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of jammer switcheroo going on. Rhea Volt reporting to that Bear and Bottle penalty box.
And it looks like a low block now being given to number 82, Brutal Brit, as Minnesota's side of the Bear and Bottle penalty box starts to fill up.
Rhea Volt released.
Forearm being called on Minnesota blocker. Out of play block given to a Philly blocker. It's a party in that Bear and Bottle penalty box. Persephone working against a short Minnesota pack up front. Homo Erratic, previously the jammer, now blocker. Woo!
Jam comes to its natural conclusion.
Woo is about all I can say. Or bop.
I went and saw Hanson when they came through and were at First Ave in Minneapolis. It was quite possibly one of my favorite concerts I've been to in a really long time.
No shame. That's all right.
They're still adorable.
After all this time, still adorable.
Animal was there with me. Everybody, bop.
Yeah, yeah. Make the best of this timeout with Hanson.
I feel like that could be more of an illegal procedure. Like, so for those of you at home, with 23 minutes remaining, 105 Philly to Minnesota's 85.
Yeah, so Minnesota coming out with a bang in that second half, but Philly doing a great job of putting the brakes on that energy.
Putting the brakes on Minnesota and revving themselves up while they're at it.
Yeah, but still a 20-point game, 23 minutes left. And the jam is on. 23 minutes left in the second half. A quick lead jam picked up by Minnesota. That is going to be 152 Herman Monster.
That's actually a lead jammer by the Liberty Bells.
Forearm being assessed to the pivot for Minnesota, Gertrude Stein. And a high block going to go to another Minnesota blocker.
That is Bipolar Bear.
Bipolar is the jammer. So this is a power jam in favor of Minnesota. Herman Monster lead jam still, and already 15 points on the board for this jam. And make that 2-1. And Bipolar Bear back on the track. Knock on wood, we got all the wheels on the track.
Star pass there to Gertrude Stein.
Previously your pivot, now your jammer.
Trudy can do everything. She can jam, she can pivot, she can block. Plus, she makes a mean pierogi.
I hear those pierogies are good.
Yeah, they are.
Buenos Dias on the line for Philly. Switch, please, for Minnesota. But Buenos Dias, as she emerges first, picks up a track cut. That is going to send her to the penalty box. A power jam in favor of Minnesota. Now more whistles being blown. A forearm getting assessed to the pivot for Philly. As Switch, please, now battling against all three of the defensive Philly blockers as they've been able to recycle back up there.
Switch, please. Clears that last blocker, number 34, Jail Bars, but is hit to the inside.
Toe stops, please.
Toe stops, please. Switch, please. Still your lead jammer.
Buenos Dias back on the track. I believe still needing to complete their initial pass. But both Switch Please and Buenos Dias getting recycled all the way back to the pivot line. Switch Please emerges first with 4 points.
And there we have it. Officially, Buenos Dias is through because the jam ref is attempting to fly.
It's a low fly zone.
It's you know, they don't need to go very high. It's just a little bit. With that whistle, we've got number 15, Persephone, jamming for the Liberty Bells, going up against Shock Therapy.
And Shock is your lead jammer for Minnesota All-Stars. As Gertrude Stein again takes a trip to that penalty box. And that whistle goes off. And at the end of that, we got a zip for Philly. We got a talking between some refs. Probably a zip for Minnesota. We'll see. But we're going to talk to you about our friends at Forward Training, the only functional fitness facility of its kind that is truly welcome to all levels, all bodies, and all humans. Located on Madison's East Side, Forward offers personal and small group training with an emphasis on form and proper technique. Join the Fundamentals 9-week course programs to learn how to bring awareness to your body and train to enhance overall physical performance in all realms of life. Whether you're recovering from an injury, preparing for competition, or just want to reduce persistent pain and tightness, Forward can help. You can join them at their grand opening in July. Visit the booth today or all weekend for short demos and get signed up to move forward with us this summer. How do you move forward? You can also check them out too. They have lacrosse balls. They have different things over there. So if you're a skater and you need to roll out, stretch out, you can go see them and they can help you out with that this week.
Speaking of moving forward, Rousey is moving forward as the lead jammer for the Liberty Bells.
And a star pass on the side of Minnesota to their pivot, Gertrude Stein.
That was 7 points picked up for Philly with just under 17 minutes remaining in this second half.
Really starting to open up that differential on Minnesota. Minnesota still not breaking the century mark.
Minnesota's working real hard. They've had some really good jams, putting up 13 here, 10 here. Unfortunately, they just need a little bit more consistency with that. The last few jams, they have been held scoreless.
Switch, please, on the line for Minnesota. 130, that is Buenos Dias. 138, excuse me.
Two blockers, one of each, reporting to that bear and bottle penalty box.
And switch, please, with a pirouette, please, more. And thank you, around turn 1 and 2. Buenos Dias still working against that block of Animal and Gertrude Stein in front. Direction of gameplay going to Animal, sending her to the penalty box as Minnesota down to only 2 blockers. A forearm being assessed for that last block there to Poisonberry Pie. But great job by Poisonberry and Gertrude Stein holding up Buenos Dias for quite a while on that scoring pass. No, initial pass. Switch, please, with a big hit on that defensive wall in back. Wedging their way around and up through for 4 more points for Minnesota.
And that is a team timeout being called by the Minnesota All-Stars. Well, we have a team timeout being happening. I wordly good.
You need some food in you.
I would really like either tacos or pizza.
Pizza is where it's at, let me tell you.
I've heard tell that there's a delightful place called Ian's Pizza.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more.
Well, they're a sponsor of the Mad Rollin' Dolls. I know that much.
They're fantastic. If you want carb on carb on carb pizza,
And I
highly
do.
suggest the mac and cheese pizza.
What?
Yeah,
What?
mac and cheese pizza. You heard me say it. I'll say it again. Mac and cheese pizza.
Someone bring me that right now.
Quesadilla pizza.
What?
Steak and frites pizza.
What?
Chicken bacon ranch pizza.
All right, I'm going to go live there.
I'm not even going to finish this game. I'm just going to go get pizza from Ian's. You can go check out Ian's. They have 2 downtown locations, 100 State Street next to the Capitol, 319 North Francis near the Kohl Center. Both locations are open late, and you can order online at ianspizza.com. Downtown delivery is available.
Are we considered downtown here?
No. Close enough, though.
All right. So who's going to go buy me one of all of their pizzas?
I mean, I'll take you there after this. We can go for a drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pizza, you and I are going to have a date, and it's going to be delicious.
You got a date with my mouth.
Rah, 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 rah. Jamming for Minnesota, we've got number 1400. That is Shock Therapy. But your lead jammer is number 15, Persephone, for those Liberty Bells.
Some whistles being blown over on turn 2. That's going to send a Philly blocker to the penalty box. Persephone still working on the back of that Minnesota defense. Back block, though, now being called on someone. That's going to go to the pivot for Philly. Nikki Cash.
Shock Therapy through for 4 points.
And that's going to be a back block called on the jammer for Minnesota, sending them to the penalty box. So now a power jam in favor of Minnesota. Or excuse me, of Philly.
But with that, jam is called off, and Minnesota has broken the century mark.
Dun, 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 dun.
With 13 minutes left on the clock.
41 points between the two teams. We all know that's like a big jam.
Yeah.
Neither of these teams totally capable.
I saw a 45-point jam last weekend.
Was it
at,
magnificent?
It was. I'm actually very excited. It was men's roller derby, Minnesota men's roller derby, the Terrors, who are playing tomorrow.
They are.
Nader's going to Nate.
Herman Monster on the line, taking a whip off their teammate on the turn 2. Picks up lead jammer for Philly. This power jam start for Philly. Starting out right, probably for them. Big hit at the back, unfortunately, is going to get Hertrud Stein a forearm, but it does deposit Herman Monster to the inside. And that is her 6th penalty so far in this game.
Persephone through for another. Herman Monster. Sorry. My apologies, Herman.
Wah, wah. And now a cut being called on Herman, sending her to the Baron Bottle penalty box. A switch of fates, if you will. Now a power jam in favor of Minnesota. And Also for your viewing pleasure, a 2-minute jam.
Not necessarily for the skating pleasure of the team of the skaters that are out there. But
Notice why I didn't say skating pleasure. Shock therapy working against that 4 defensive of Philly. Big hit by Teflon Donna to the outside as they recycle back. Herman out of the penalty box now, working on the defense of Minnesota up front alone. And after all the dust settles, 9 points for, no, we're going to wait. And
the dust hasn't settled yet.
Jump the gun. Philly 156, Minnesota 112. Oh, beautiful tiptoe by Buenos Dias on the outside line, picking up lead jam for Philly, and a forearm going to Philadelphia blocker 34. Jail bars.
Raichu with the star for Minnesota has it in her hand, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Just because she wants to hold it.
I like to hold stuff in my hand.
And the Minnesota Jammer, unfortunately, heading to the penalty box. So a power jam for Philly as they call it off to extend into the next jam. So we're in a little timeout. It's like an official review.
I believe Minnesota called it. Yes, Minnesota called for this official review.
My guess is that they're asking for that penalty to be removed from their jammer. My educated guess.
I mean, I feel like that's a fairly...
It was interesting contact from our view.
Right.
Just put it that way.
Yes.
Though the refs may have had a better view. All right, so this next jam is on. That last official review was called by Minnesota. They were asking for the charging call from their jammer to be removed. The refs disagreed. The charging call stands. They lose their official review for this second half.
Meanwhile, Rousey has become your lead jammer for the Liberty Bells.
And they're now working on their scoring pass, hippity-hoppeting up around the front, but they didn't get around Gertrude Stein. So they are recycled back around to turn 4. Raichu with the reach and pass to their pivot. Now your jammer and ours. That's going to be number 1128, Poisonberry Pie for Minnesota. And Rousey trying with a skip around the outside, but does get recycled back by the now blocker, Raichu. Good teamwork.
Go team, win. Switch, please, is your lead jammer
But-
for Minnesota.
Hot on their heels is Persephone. Both jammers enter. Both kind of get out, but no one gets any points.
Goose eggs all around.
So if no one gets any points, was there really a jam? Yes, there was.
Oh. I was going to say, I think there's paperwork associated with it, so
It's true.
probably.
It's true. Homoerotic on the line for Minnesota, but creeping up that inside line. That's going to be Herman Monster, lead jammer for the Philadelphia Liberty Bells.
So I wasn't going to make a big deal out of it, but this is Homoerotic's first sanctioned bout
What?
as part of the Minnesota All-Stars.
Nice. They're doing a great job so far. And Homoerotic started in Madison with the Wreckers. So you're welcome, Minnesota.
That's right. She's ours now. You can't have her back.
You taught
We
it
will,
good.
we will fight you for her.
And we have a star pass to the pivot, Poisonberry Pie on the side of the Minnesota All-Stars. Whistles are blown and points are awarded. 8 points.
Track maintenance going on? Is this what's happening? Excellent. Just under 5 minutes remaining. 175 Liberty Bells, 116 Minnesota All-Stars.
Philly able to open up a little more of a lead in the second half, chipping away. Really taking advantage of Minnesota's power jams and really shutting them down when they got them against them. Their defense has been great. And back on the track, Buenos Dias. Jammer for Philly, but lead jammer going to Minnesota All-Stars.
Shock therapy.
A big deposit to the outside. As Buenos Dias still working on her initial pass, driving in hard on that defensive line of Minnesota. Some might call it a Great Wall of St. Paul.
Shock therapy in the meantime, coming up against that tripod of Liberty Bell blockers.
And shock therapy calling it out, picking up 3 points.
Switch, please, on the line for the All-Stars, going up against Herman Monster for those Liberty Bells. A matchup we've seen a multitude of times.
Yeah, maybe a few more times, but maybe not. As we're getting down, Herman Monster lead jammer for the Liberty Bells.
Herman Munster through for her first 5 points. Switch, please, being held up there by
And a track cut assessed to Switch, please, at the very end of that jam. Timeout called on the side of
Minnesota.
I believe.
You are correct.
Gives us a chance to talk about our friend Dr. Julie Quayle at LSM Chiropractic. They're excited to be a sponsor of Udder Chaos Tournament. LSM has 16 locations in and around the Madison area, and the newest is at 5609 Medical Circle on Madison's west side. They accept most insurance, and Dr. Quayle and her colleagues consider service to the community as one of their most fun and rewarding commitments.
So let's talk penalties for a quick second.
Oh, yeah?
So,
You get penalties in this game?
yeah.
Oh, like
That's why we have the delightful bear and bottle penalty box.
oh, so nice. What's up with these penalties?
So, Liberty Bells, I mean, they've got a couple, 3, 4 skaters that are sitting at 4. Everybody else has got 3, 2, 1, 0. Minnesota, on the other hand, has got 1 at 6 and 2 at 5.
It's a lot of people doing a lot of work. And that's one more penalty being added for number 5 for Minnesota. But lead jammer going to Philadelphia and Persephone. Brutal Brit with the stop all alone up front. And still up there, Brit doing hard work, making it hard for Persephone to get around, but she does. That's going to be 5 points.
Meanwhile, Switch Please has been released from the penalty box, just like Polly Punchkin, and there goes number 5 Minnesota blocker, number 5. Full contingents out on the track now for each team, I believe.
Switch, please, working against that hard defense up front, getting some offense from time to time, but really just, it is a hard go out there as a jammer.
Switch Please is through on her initial.
And Persephone calls it off, having picked up 2 more points on that last pass for a total of a 7.
7.
Yeah.
Good job.
I can count. That brings us 192-119. Philadelphia All-Stars up. We probably have about a jam left in us.
56 seconds remain on the period clock.
And now we have a timeout courtesy of Philadelphia.
That just gives everyone the opportunity to listen to more Kesha.
Make everyone's day a little better. That rolling whistle is not the start of the jam. And whistle, whistle, whistles. We are on. Raichu on the line for Minnesota. Lead jammer, though, is going to go to Philadelphia.
Herman Munster.
Your favorite neighborhood monster. Monster through for 4-point pass. Raichu still working. Get through against that defense in back.
Herman coming up against Animal. Manila Ice. And that was Trudy, but they are called out of play, have to release for 5 points.
And Herman back around for another scoring pass. Teflon Donna going in to play some offense to spring Herman through. Calling it off. Period clock has elapsed. That is the end.
With the unofficial final of Minnesota 121. Philly 205, but are there changes? Where's that last whistle?
It ain't over till that whistle blows.
Well, we've got the handshakes and high fives going on. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Liberty Bells.
Coming up next, we have the Mad Rollin' Dolls B team versus the arch rival Roller Derby B team at 6 p.m. So stick around. Oh, if you had happened to forget, there are food carts. Food carts, food carts, food carts. They are there until 9:30 tonight. So go get your snack on.
There's ice